The opposite of love is not hate. It's apathy. So the worst outcome you can have on a date is for a woman to feel nothing. Yet so many guys do everything in their power to do the opposite and not rock the boat. They try not to offend a woman ever or say anything too forward or show too much of their weird, quirky side and basically cut off all interesting sides of their personality. So maybe you don't ask really any personal or intimate questions, or you don't really set your boundaries because you don't want to upset them, or you don't really get into your weird and goofy sense of humor, and maybe you don't even show your sexual intentions because maybe you want to avoid making a woman feel anything negative, weird, or uncomfortable. And so instead you keep to safe, boring, and logical conversations. And I also know that you don't really enjoy these type of dates either. You know, whenever I ask a guy like, tell me a few things that you really got into and what you talked about, they're often like, I don't really remember. And what that says to me is that you never said anything real or meaningful or vulnerable or interesting or different. Because if you did, you'd definitely remember it. Attraction is an emotion, and if you're not getting these women to feel anything on these dates, then you are completely forgettable and you will fade into oblivion like the countless other dates she's had. You have to start saying things or doing things that polarize people and get them to feel strong emotions around you. Yes, sadly, that can even mean evoking negative emotions. That's why lots of jerks still get laid, because at least they're making these women feel something. They often make a woman feel shocked or frustrated or intimidated or challenged or even desired. Now, I'm not advocating for being an asshole. I'm just trying to explain why a lot of those men still end up attracting women. A woman is usually going to pick one long-term partner at some point. She's almost always going to choose the guy she feels emotionally connected to and not the guy who's just a bland, safe option. You cannot mediocre your way into love. Like, you might get some dates out of it, but you'll never be the man of a woman's dreams. I'm Nick Notas, and today I want to give you 9 practical ways to start polarizing your interactions with women so that they start feeling more powerful emotions with you. Number 1 is sharing a difference of opinion. So many men are afraid that if they share their own views or values on a subject, that a woman's just going to get really upset and freak out and basically exclude them from the dating pool. But a woman doesn't need you to be a clone of her. She wants you to be an individual. She wants you to be driven and strong and independent. What she just needs for that to happen is that if you share your difference in opinion, you don't really judge her for it. You're not trying to attack her or shove it down her throat, but you can have an open dialogue and at least understand her point of view and share yours and just have a positive discussion about it. And what she sees is that you're a guy who's not just desperate for approval and being a yes man like everyone else, but you're actually showing up honestly and that you have the self-respect to want to connect with people that align with you. Number 2 is asking women the hard questions that would require them to be more vulnerable with you. That could be really deep and personal questions or sexual questions or really kind of thought-provoking questions that get to her deeper core of values and opinions. And this should come from a genuine sense of curiosity. You don't want to just be on a million first dates where you guys talk about like, what's your favorite music and what's the last movie you saw? Like, you actually want to get to know each other because that's where you can come from a standpoint of like, do I want to get to know this person better? Like, yes, she's attractive, but a self-confident man says, okay, besides that, is she cool? Does she have the values that I'm looking for? Does she have an interesting personality? And women pick up on that as well. And similarly to sharing your own opinion, as long as a woman feels it's coming from a place of just wanting to get to know her and you're not judging her for it and you're not like mocking her for her answers, then by her opening up, she's giving a part of her heart or soul that she hasn't given to probably any other guy. And that's where we start to feel deeper human connection, where she's like, oh my God, this guy really gets me and he really likes to know more about me and he understands me in a way that other men haven't. And if you've had a chance to check out my video on asking intimate questions, this is also really part of it too. I might not start with more intimate or romance or sexual related questions on a first date early on, but later on through the date, as you guys have started to open up, or maybe on a second date, if you guys start getting into discourse around sexually charged subjects, what they like in a man, what they don't, their experiences around romance, then they start to feel those emotions around you and they start to associate your connection with that. So be willing to ask the hard questions and to answer them for yourself too. Number 3 is stepping into your humor and silly side. That means getting goofy or weird or saying some outlandish shit or being really physical with your humor and expressive. Whatever style of humor is yours is fine. It doesn't need to be exactly the woman's sense of humor. Like, for example, maybe I have more of a dark and cynical and vulgar side of my humor that my wife doesn't, but she can at least appreciate it. And the deeper message is, if you're showing a woman that you're stepping into your own humor, then you are comfortable with yourself and you are self-confident, and that's the more important message she'll get. So even if you guys are a little bit different in your sense of humor, it's still like, wow, this guy's really expressive and he's open and he doesn't care about being judged, and that's what's attractive. If you don't know how to bring out your humor, then I suggest you look up different forms of humor and start trying one at a time, like understand what sarcasm is, and then focus on going on a date and being a little sarcastic and see if it resonates with you. I also think it's great to watch the best people in the world at it, whether that's like late night talk show hosts or stand-up comics or just great comedians in general, and to kind of learn about delivery and punchlines and styles of humor, but also like consider taking an improv class yourself if you've never done it. It's awesome. It's a great way to just like intentionally be loose and step into your creativity in a non-judgmental environment. Basically, every guy I've seen who's taken an improv class and stuck with it even for a little bit immediately feels much more witty and much more open and feels like they can joke often in ways that they do with their guy friends, but actually translate that to a date with a beautiful woman. Number 4 is pushing to meet up sooner and not letting plans just kind of be wishy-washy. So many guys text women for like days and days and days or even weeks and longer on end, and they think that they're building a connection. You're not. People don't connect over text. There's no like facial expressions. You're not getting the intonation. You're not getting their presence and their energy. It doesn't mean anything if you guys aren't hanging out in person. I can't tell you how many times guys have like talked to women for weeks on end and they're like, oh, we're getting so close. And then all of a sudden the women just find somebody else or gets bored with it and cuts them cold. And they're like, I thought we had something. You don't. So as I've said before, I'm generally going to invite a woman to do something the very first day of texts back and forth or the next, and not much longer. Because I know at that point, most women can figure out if they're at least open to meeting up and if they're potentially interested based on my photos and your conversation and your overall vibe. And if not, waiting really doesn't usually increase the odds. And if you invite a woman out and she gives you some vague answer and says, oh yeah, like we'll meet up sometime soon, I don't let that hang. I value my time and so should you, and that's what a confident person does. You don't act desperate and like beg for her to meet up with you, but you set your expectations. And you can tell her something like, I'm generally pretty busy during the week, so I like to schedule things out. I'm free for cocktails on Thursday. How does that work? And most men are afraid to do that because they're worried about being too forward or assertive or whatever. But I want a woman to feel like, okay, this guy isn't desperate. Like, he's independent, he does his cool things, he's not waiting around begging for me, but he's also self-confident and knows the value of his time. I want her to feel the slightest bit of fire and pressure to like be like, well, if I really like this guy, I also gotta invest in him. Because if you don't make a woman feel like she has to invest in you a little bit, then she generally doesn't value the connection. That's just human nature. We don't value things that we don't have to work for. If she's actually into you, you just suggesting a more concrete time is unlikely to push her away. She's not going to be like, this guy is so awesome, I can't wait to meet up, but he suggested a time that we hang out. Screw him, never mind. That's a horrible impression of a girl, but you get the idea. Number 5 is setting strong boundaries. So for example, let's say you're on a date and she's on her phone pretty regularly. She's checking Instagram or responding to something, and deep down you're like, oh, I really hate this. I feel like it's breaking up the flow and I just don't want to be on our phones. A lot of guys are afraid to do this because they're worried that a woman's going to be like, don't tell me what to do, which is true. Like, I'm not going to tell her what to do. I'm going to tell her what I want. And that's the difference between a leader and somebody who's controlling. I'm not going to say, get off your phone and put it away. I don't know her. She doesn't know me nothing. But if she cares about a connection and she cares about me staying interested, then she's going to compromise and try to work for it. So instead, I'm just going to share my feelings and say, hey, listen, I understand that sometimes we gotta check stuff, but in general, I like to be present on a date and put our phones away so we can really get to know each other. A friend actually shared another idea recently, which is basically he'll just text a girl while he's there, like over here, and hopefully she'll realize that you have expectations and self-respect, and she'll decide to compromise and invest in the connection more, which is only gonna make her respect you more and feel closer to you. And in that moment, she might even feel a little challenged or guilty for doing that, and you're showing self-respect, and so that's more likely to make her respect you and want to invest in you further. The same goes, for example, when a woman cancels on plans multiple times at the last minute. So many guys just like deal with it and put their head down and say, okay, no problem at all, cool, I understand, we'll find another time. And you're just showing her that you have no backbone, so she's not going to feel anything other than, hey, this is just a guy that'll wait around and be wrapped around my finger. And instead, you need to challenge her a little bit and say something like, hey, listen, I understand stuff comes up, but my time is really important to me and I really value that, and I'm looking to connect with people who feel the same way. I can't tell you how many times that has shook a woman, because most men will never say that, or they say it in a really, again, controlling way where they're like, what the F? I can't believe you. You better make up to me now. Okay, that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is, that's not really cool with me, and if that continues that way, I'm gonna go focus my energy elsewhere. And that feeling of loss really wakes a lot of women up to being like, oh my God, I gotta make it up to this person, and yeah, I gotta commit right now to doing something with them. Number 6 is not canceling your plans for a random woman. So if you just met someone and she's like, hey, can you hang Friday? And you already have plans to like chill with your friends, or you have a bunch of like big work to catch up on, or maybe you have a meeting in the morning and you know it's gonna screw things up, then don't change your plans for her. That behavior sparks a lot of curiosity, because most men do the opposite, where if you are somebody who's on your purpose and driven and independent, then she feels excited to convince you to invest time in her when it's right and be curious about learning more about you. There's all this anticipation and excitement now. If you just like tell a woman, or she finds out that you obliterated your plans with your good friends, she's going to feel something, but feel disgust and disdain. So you can tell her something like, hey, listen, I'd love to, but I've got X plans on that day. How about we hang next week on Tuesday? And she starts to say, whoa, this guy is really independent and got his own stuff going on. And that fires up a lot of curiosity and anticipation and want to get to know more and say, oh my God, this guy's so cool that he has his own life prioritized. And that's always attractive. And maybe I got to find out what that is. As opposed to like you telling her or her finding out that you obliterated her plans, that basically says to her that you really don't value yourself or your personal life or your personal friendships, and that is going to reek of desperation. Number 7 is bridging into more personal experiences or emotions around a subject. A lot of times when guys are on dates, they talk in facts. I went to this school for this many years. Now I went to this company. I work these amount of hours. That is not likely to get a woman to feel anything. You could just be a LinkedIn resume that's sitting on a date and she can just scroll and read you, and that's basically what you are. But she wants to know the whys behind that. She wants to know why you do these things, why you love them, what was challenging about them, what was scary, what you're looking forward to, what you regret, what you're really passionate about in the future. That's what makes you an individual, and that's what makes her feel something, because we all connect to those similar emotions. If you have a certain job that she's unfamiliar with, maybe you're a software developer, she's not going to relate to the practical technical terms around coding, but she can relate to your feelings around that, the drive to get something right, the critical thinking aspects of it, the accomplishment of finally doing something that has been a problem for so long. She has to connect to those shared emotions, and that's what's going to make her feel close to you. And that's how you can make any subject interesting. So many guys are afraid of bringing up nerdy subjects or hobbies or things that they think women won't like. And that is just a missed opportunity to show your personality and relate it in a way that they can actually find it interesting. Because you want women to get fired up about you. If you're really passionate about something in your life and it's going to be a big part of your life, then you want a woman who at least respects that and is open to it and thinks of it in a positive light. So if you're somebody that has a hard time like sharing more about yourself on dates or kind of getting into like the deeper whys around subjects, then what I would suggest is take a topic that you've recently had on a date, or just in general think about, what do I spend a lot of my life thinking about, reading about, watching about, or investing my time in, and start writing those subjects on a piece of paper. From there, you can either ask a lot of the W questions, like, why do I do this? Why do I love it? Why do I hate it? What's my best experience around this? What's my worst? How has this helped me grow? How have I felt more connected to it? You can even type in, like Google, thought-provoking questions to ask yourself, and that'll help you dig into yourself like you're interviewing and actually get to a more expressive emotional standpoint. And even if you do this outside of dates, your brain starts getting used to doing that, and then it translates once you're in front of a woman. The other thing you can do is a technique they use in psychology called the 7 whys. So take a subject you're interested in. Let's again say that you love software development. Start asking yourself why. Why do I love software development? Okay, I love software development because it helps me critically think and I get into a really, zone that stimulates my brain in a way that something else doesn't. Why? Well, in general, I think I need X and Y from, my life and blah, blah, blah. Basically, you ask 7 whys deep and you really get to some interesting areas of yourself that you never even thought about just by continuing to prod and poke. And I promise you, if you share more emotional stuff, I'm not just talking about sad and pity, but positive emotions like ambition, excitement, passion, curiosity, a woman is going to feel so much closer to you on a date, and you'll immediately stand out from every other date she's had where they just talk about the same generic stuff over and over. Number 8 is flirting and stepping into your sexuality. Flirting is just the act of showing desire in more than a platonic way. You can do that with your words, or you can do that with your physical body. So anything like more bold compliments, earlier as I said, asking more intimate or sexual questions, even physical contact on a date and eventually going for a kiss, all of these are showing your desire for more than a friendship. And when we feel desired by someone, it starts to stir up a lot of emotions. If they're not interested in you, which you want to find out, then maybe they'll feel disgust. And that's okay. I'd rather know that sooner than later than spend 5 mediocre dates paying for dinner with a woman that's not actually interested in me. Or they're going to start to feel aroused because they already like you a little bit, they find you interesting, and then you start showing that you're into them, and they start to go, oh my God, this cool dude that I really like also has gotten to know me, and because of that, he's starting to desire me. He's starting to like me and want me and think about me in that way. And that's kind of hot. Just think about yourself on a date. If that beautiful woman looked you in the eyes and said, wow, you look so handsome tonight, how would you feel? Your heart's gonna be like pounding. You're gonna be like, oh snap, that feels amazing, right? And you're just gonna have all this emotion bubble up. So if you don't know how to do that, again, we have a bunch of other videos on this channel around compliments, physical contact, going for a kiss, eye contact, and intimate questions. And those are all effective ways to flirt. And last, number 9, saying some embarrassing shit, but owning it. But we all have flaws, and that's what makes us human, and that's what also makes us relatable. People that try to be perfect or like snobbish or buttoned up all the time are less relatable to people. They even see this in studies with doctors. Doctors that act really like professional and, really closed off in that sense generally have higher malpractice rates, while doctors that are a little bit more low-key and casual and can kind of even joke and poke fun at themselves sometimes have a much better relationship with their patients. So if you had an embarrassing moment in a story, show up about it. If you're feeling nervous even in a moment to answer something or you don't know what to say, own it. If you've struggled with something in the past, like your mental health and you're working on it, own it. That doesn't mean you sit there and you dwell and you're just a pity party and please save me. It means that you accept everything that you are, but you're looking ahead, right? You might say to a woman something like, with the last year, I've felt a lot more isolated about things and it kind of really weighed on me, but I'm really excited about all the stuff coming up and I got some vacations and I'm hanging out with friends. So you might talk about your struggles and embarrassing moments, but you're not asking her to just pity you or just wallow in it. You're just sharing that. And that can be a really humanizing experience where a woman feels really connected to you because she has those same feelings and experiences, and that's going to help her connect to them and actually share them with you and feel bonded to you and feel connected to you in a way that she doesn't with other random guys. It's like that famous Tyrion Lannister quote from Game of Thrones, which I'll try not to butcher, but it's something like, never forget who you are because the world will not. So wear it like armor and it can never be used to hurt you. All of these are polarizing actions that get an emotional reaction, and any reaction is better than none at all. Again, you cannot safe your way into being the man of a woman's dreams, period. So I'd rather you spend the next month trying to evoke real emotions and failing than succeeding at being milk toast. Help us, God! Please give us a subscribe, click the notification bell, and give this video a like. Got you to feel something.